on this episode of Tying Stuff Up, I'm going to do a sculpin pattern. Basically it's the bunny boy that I've did with that bait fish. This is the sculpin version, which is mainly the fly that I'm throwing for like the Calico and stuff. It's just a nice bunny pattern that works out pretty well. Not very many Calico flies out there and videos and stuff, so hopefully you guys will enjoy this one. I did a search on YouTube and I only found like one, so hopefully you guys will enjoy this one. So this is, it kind of has a nice profile to it. I'll try to go fast. This is a, it's a Calico pattern, so there's a lot of little steps I got to show you guys, but try to go through pretty quick. Here's just a variation of the colors. I like this one a lot, especially at night. It's all good. And then here's just a really quick look at its profile. Its top view there. You can kind of see that it's kind of nice and chunky and fat and all that. And when wet up, it really does make a nice little pattern. So it's a little bit different from that that bunny boy pattern that I showed last time. So I'm hoping I can do this pretty quick. Looks like my hook's a little bit whacked there. That's better. Let me get a little closer in on that. All right. So for this pattern, how are we going to do this? So I already have my colored dumbbells on the hook. Hook here that I'm using is a Gamakatsu. It's a jig hook, heavy 90-degree bend wire. This is really good. So this is here in the vise is the 2-aught, kind of the smaller that I use, and then I'll do a lot of the 4-aughts as well. It's a little bit bigger, and then I'll use 6-aughts for like the big dogs and all that. Here are my colored eyes that I like on this one. Makes it look really nice. That's just some Pro-Tech paint. Anybody wants any questions about how I do that, let me know. I can post a video. Here is a just a sculpin version with that Pro-Tech, and so I mean this is a same thing. It's a sculpin pattern with the big sculpin head. I like to do the variation I'm doing now with the colored eyes, and then what I'm doing for the kind of the tops here, I should bet on this one, I'm using some craft fur or the Arctic fox fur to make some nice big heads, and it makes it a bit lighter, not so heavy, easier to throw, all that good stuff. When you're on a Calico boat, all of that matters because you're rocking and rolling, trying to throw flies into the boilers. And if you got these big sculpin heads, you can crack your skull. So all I'm doing now is going to go ahead and just lay down a nice little base of the Zappa Gap. Thread of choice, everybody knows, fine clear, mono thread. Make sure you get a nice base here on that shank. And I'm going to go ahead. It's a little bit different order here compared to the bunny boy bait fish. But again, it's just going to be a zip tie to support, and no, this is not really just supporting the Zonker wing. All you're doing with this one is you're preventing that Zonker from fouling your hook point in your hook. So you're just going to put it right on top. And I'm going to mention here, and I'll keep on looking back at that. For this is the round bend back, so I'm going to be taking my thread to the barb. With the stinger hook, I was taking it to the hook point, and this time I'm taking it right to the barb of the hook. That will keep, that's where I want all my materials, all good to go. Very simply, I'm going to go ahead now, put some CCG on this. This is just the Hydro. I've mentioned it, they don't sell it anymore. You have to figure out what to do. At least I am as well. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and add in my materials. So for the back end, I'm going to go ahead and add in, let me get this straightened out. I'm going to go ahead and add in a piece of my Zonker. This is in the color of Crawdad. Very cool color. Works out really well for these Calico patterns. Take it about 2 shank lengths long. Get your materials all nice and neat. It's about that long of your tail. And then because this is going to be riding hook point up like that, I'm going to go ahead and take my Zonker, okay? I'm going to go and put it like that, right? So this is how it's going to ride in the water. Make sure it's nice and straight on that on the top of that zip tie. get it so it's nice and even, and just wind back through it. Don't worry about bunching up materials. At this point, that doesn't really matter. You'll clean that up right now. Most important part about this step is just make sure that Zonker is laying right down on top of that zip tie as it is there. Clip that off. And then here, if you want to, you can clean that up if you really, you know, where fly tires are kind of want to make sure things are clean, right? So I'll do that. But you really don't have to. You're going to cover all those threads up right, or cover all that material up right now. So there you go. You got that going on. I like to put on some rubber legs on the back end of this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and just take a nice chunk of some. It's about 5 or 6 or so. About the length of the tail. All good. Again, my thread is right where it needs to be, which is right over that barb. And made a bit of a mess here, but I'll correct that. There it goes. And then I'm going to go ahead and just wind that through on top. All good. And then I'm going to go ahead and just clip that. And that's good to go. So then you get materials on top. And you are nice. And you're good. So then don't worry about right now how that looks. It's just the bottom end of the fly. Now you're going to do an invert this fly. Need another piece of Zonker now. So again, this is just another little stretch that I have here. Again, to taper it, so I've cut this one already off here kind of square. To taper it back in, just kind of go here again and just cut that, and you can see how it tapers nice and easy. So you're good there. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this piece, and this is going to be my back end here. So I'm going to have 2 pieces, and why you do that is because you're going to pierce this piece. Now if I had just pierced this piece, put it long, and then there's a chance that this pierced section would become weak, and you would lose that, and then your fly would become no longer really that cool, and probably wouldn't be eaten as aggressively by the calico. So anyways, it's just a good way to have it so that you now have the bottom piece is really nice and secure, really nice and wrapped. And this piece, which I just put on right now, I'm going to get that all squared away, flatten it on top. So now you have 2 pieces just like that. Okay, I'll put that right back in your vise, and you're good. Okay, now what I need to do now is I'm going to go ahead and get this all straightened out. So what I like to do is pull this straight. Well, I'm going to take my thread right back to my point where I like to go, which is right next to that barb. I'm going to pull this straight, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bend it back just like that, just like that. Here. Then I'm going to take my thread, I'm going to wind it right through just like that. I'm going to capture that. That's securing it so that as you palmer this through, it'll be nice and neat. That's the same thing I did on the Bunny Boy, but in a different position here. So now I'm just doing it inverted. So I wanted to show you one because I want to show you this fly because on this one, because it's calico fly, it's going to be having the big weed guard out in front. It's going to ride with the hook point up, trying to avoid definitely going through all the mess of the kelp. UV is really nice on this. This is again just an EP brush with that UV in it. That's super cool and money looking. And just take that back to where you had that material tied in, which is about right there. All good, although I kind of, let me see here. That wire was there. Let me nip that. Okay. Again, trying to keep that nice and clean there. All right, so then that's good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush. I'm just going to take it and pull everything to one side, and I'm going to palmer this through. Go under, palmer, just like that. It's perfect. It takes about 3 wraps. So then again, push that all back through. Palmer. Again, get all those materials, all that UV stuff looking good. Again, come through it. Get it all nice out again. That's about what you want right there. So you do about 3 times. Now just tie it off. Something like that, okay? Looking pretty good. Now, again, here are my crafty little Amazon wire cutters, the micros, which are super sweet. Cut that off. Again, you don't want to use your scissors because this EP brush has wire in it, and you don't want to cut that material using your fancy scissors. There you go. Get all of these materials out and about. You can see how that UV now shines right through that material. It's looking pretty good. I like it. Same thing, wet my fingers a little bit. Get a bunch of materials up. Just like that. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in my materials on top. Again, I'm going with, instead of what I want to put in some rust. This is Rust EP, okay? So I haven't really found that sculpt fiber in a rust color that I like, and I do like this color, so I'm going to go ahead and use just some regular old EP, the classic. It's been around for a lot. Like I said, I use this. I have a lot of this. I like this a lot too. I just have started using the sculpt, and I kind of like that material just a little bit better, but this is definitely good stuff. What you do is you kind of look at your piece. If it seems a little thick, just kind of thin it out a little bit. Isn't a problem. Like that. Just kind of make sure you like how it's looking. Take that right on top. What I do is like to spread it around the hook shank a little bit, and I'll place it down. Then I'll go ahead and take the other side and kind of just stack it right on top. And that's that. Looking good. Now this is sculpt. This is sculpt. It's kind of like an orange. They call it like a sunburst. Really, really good color. Just take a little bit of a section of it off and just pull it. That's how you work with this stuff, so you don't end up with a big old mess. Always pull from the sides. Again, take a small little section of it. Clean it out a little bit. Make sure it's what you want. Flip your fly around and come down through it to pull that strike tight there. And okay, looking pretty good. Get this material, slide it in on itself. It's not bad. I like that. Here again is that other little section I took off of it. I'm going to pull a little bit off there and kind of thin it out again. Spread it around with your fingers. This now I'm going right to pretty much the dumbbell eye. Something like that. I got a little material kind of coming out. There it is. Coming out there. I'm going to stack it and do something like this. I don't know if you guys are noticing, but my hand is going around the vise quite a bit, and I'm supporting my hand. That's the beauty of having like a standard vise like this HMH. Makes it really easy for controlling your materials. Now, I'm sure the guys with the rotary vices, they're used to doing it and messing around with their own vices, but I do find that having the standard kind of vise like this really does make that step a lot easier. Okay. Almost got that. So again, now I'm going to stack it through again. Put your hand around your materials. Get them so you bind them down, lock them in place. Just like that. Alright, there it is. You got a big puffy fly. Let's go ahead and whip finish this off. Just because I want to do some trim on this. Pull your little bug out of the vise. What we'll do is just kind of just push things down. I like to go ahead and just push this materials back a little bit. And then I'm going to thin out this section pretty good because it looks pretty thick. It's okay. It's always better to have a little more material because it's easier to trim than if you had less material. So don't worry about adding a little too much, you know, in reason. You don't want to have this big massive amount of EP there, but in this case you can see how it's just, I'm able to trim that back a little bit and get what kind of the shape that I want on that. The back end, the same thing. What I do is I just kind of come on the top. I just kind of trim down. Okay. Kind of nice wide and profile, looks pretty good. We are going to leave it at that for now because I want to get on to the other steps, which I have to do. Okay. Fly is back in that vise. I think we're pretty good. Let's go to the next steps. Next thing I'm going to do now, reattach my thread. I'm going to add in some now a little bit of pectoral fins. This is just some Krinkle Flash. What I do here is I'm going to make a nice flashy side. I'm going to gather up probably about a good 10 fibers of this. I'm going to take this, I'm going to wet it, and your mouth is fine. This is all synthetics. You're not going to be adding all kinds of chemicals. So just wet it down, nice and neat. Cut it in half. Save the other half there. It's going to be the other side of the pectoral fin. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this, I'm going to double it over just in my hands there. So now I got this nice little bunch. I'm going to go to the side of my bug here, my little sculpin. I'm going to bend it around that thread. I'm going to lay it down right on the side. Don't worry about little errant materials. That was kind of a bad one. Okay, looks good there. Same thing. Cut the sides. Looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and just bend this one around again. And now lay it on the other side of the shank of the fly. So now both sides have this nice flashy pectoral, they have this really nice flashy material, almost being like a pectoral fin. And then my next step, I'm going to go ahead and add in some rubber legs on the side. I really like adding in these Cascade Crest. These are these silicone micro mini legs. I like adding these to the side of the fly. I don't really like them on the back end of the fly. I like just regular Silli Legs on the back end, but I like these for this pectoral thing. I think they add really nice movement, and they're tough as all can be. So I'm just going to do that just to kind of really secure them in there. Again, this fly goes through junk. I mean, I'm casting this thing into, you know, some pretty gnarly areas. So I like to really secure these legs by doubling them up over like that, just to really make sure they're not going to have any issues. Okay, so that's that. That guy is good. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to whip finish this off again, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and just trim that down a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go and back out a little bit here, and I'm going to show you guys the last step of this pattern. It's just creating this nice head like I just mentioned. The head is really nice because you're using the dumbbell, you're not using those big old sculpin heads. Makes this pattern a little bit lighter, and it also, you have less chance of this thing really jacking you up if it were to hit you. So it's always good to do that. And I just keep on there it is. Let me get this back in. I'm going kind of fast. I'm not securing my hook as I should be. Okay. So, trying to go fast. I want to be here for the next, I want you guys just to kind of watch this. Anyway, so here I go. I've created a basically a dubbing loop in my fly. Make sure this is kind of closed, just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and I added in my little dubbing twister on the bottom. For my head, on my last fly, I used some Arctic Fox. In this case, I'm just going to use some craft fur. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the craft fur here, and I'm just going to get two bunches of it. And I'll show you how. It's easier if I just cut this down here. So I'm going to cut just a nice section of it. So here's the craft fur. I'm going to take out all that junk within the craft fur. So I'm going to create one kind of clean bunch. I'm going to do the same with another section of it. All I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to clean that out. I'm going to take this. I'm going to clean this out. Clean all the short ends. I'm doing this over my trash because I don't want to put this all over my bench. So now I got two bunches of craft fur. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean all that up. So I got these two nice little bunches. I'm going to take these ends, I'm going to even them out. So I'm left with basically just a nice section of chunk of craft fur, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to moisten my thread as I did last time. Moisten my thread up, and I'm going to moisten my thread. I'm just using this fingertip, what they use in the banks for counting money. I don't like using dubbing wax, but I like to moisten my thread because I don't want those materials, especially the craft fur, to kind of come right out of the dubbing loop. So I'm basically put it right in the loop, just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and just spread out the materials along the dubbing loop. And as you can see, by doing it this way with the craft fur, I can get a nice little head on it. Something like that. And you just kind of spread it out nice and even. Then I'm going to go start twisting it. Start twisting it, you get a nice little dubbing rope with the craft fur. So you get a nice head for your fly. Advance your so you can just look at it. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty solid. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull my materials back. I'm going to come through, make three nice little come through like this. I'm going to come up under, just like that, come over, around, and finish off right in front. And then I'll just clean this all up right now. There's a couple nice little segments there. I'm going to attach that. I'm going to come in now, pull your materials away from it. Go ahead and just create a small little head, something like that. And we'll finish this off like that. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and bring out my fancy little tool here. Go ahead and just brush that all through, and you have a nice little head on your fly. I like both the Arctic Fox and I do like the craft fur. I think the craft fur is easier to work with, but I think the Arctic Fox to me creates a little more of a denser head. So your choice, your preference, what you want to use, both work. I think Arctic Fox material is not as bright. I think you get better colors with the craft fur. I think their colors are brighter. So I would just say it's your preference on what you want to do for that, but they both make a nice looking fly, as you can see, just like that. I'm just kind of cleaning this off. Again, you can just do what you gotta do. All right, there it is. That's pretty much is the fly. Last step, I'm gonna show you real quick, and I have a video on how to do this. It's basically to put in a weed guard. For weed guards, I like using hard mason. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put in some super glue right here, or the Zappa gap right in the eye, or the front of the fly here. I'm gonna go ahead and just make a nice little base with my mono thread. I'm going to bring out some, in this case, I'm going to use just some 50-pound hard mason. I have a video showing exactly how I do this. You can check out that video. Works really well, but all I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a quick. I'm going to go ahead and just double that over. Make a little kind of bend in that. My bend is going this way. I'm going to go ahead and put that bend right on through there. I'm coming up from the bottom, just like that. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to stand these up a little bit. I have some thread out behind it, thread out in front. I'm going to push now through, just like that. Obviously, you don't need weed guards that long. I'm going to trim them down to where I want them. Get them placed, something like that. Check them out where they're coming out in the fly, looking good. Next, I'm going to come in here and just use again my CCG. This is my hydro. Great stuff. Sad it's gone. Hit that fly right there, just to kind of get things nice and tight. I'm going to go ahead now and take that off. Now I have my CCG tack free. Not sure exactly what this is in loon. It's probably really good, at least I hope. I'm going to go ahead and just add this right here on the fly. And that's that. Start spinning it, and then just hit that. This is a little thicker, so it's not as, you can't just let it kind of quickly hit like you do with the hydro. I do like to let this thing sit pretty good and hit it pretty hard with that light. And that's that. That's the fly. It's good. Weed guards on. It's looking perfect. Take it out of the vise. You can look at it. There you go. That's the Bunny Boy fly in the smaller version. You know, this is the 2-aught. Obviously, it can be much bigger. I do tie these in the 4-aughts, and it does look pretty good. You can just trim these down as you wish, and you have a nice fly. Wet this down. It holds a nice profile. It's not just a skinny little kind of zonker fly. It has a nice little shape to it. So there you go. I think that's one of the first maybe calico patterns that we'll find on YouTube. I don't know. There's other ones, awesome, but I didn't really find them. So here you go. Here's a calico pattern sculpt. It's a Bunny Boy. Hope you guys liked it. Check me out on Instagram, SoCalFlyTying, Facebook, SoCalFlyTying. Thanks for watching. Any questions, thoughts, whatever, let me know. Hopefully you guys liked it. Thanks. Bye.